You're listening to Careers and Cocktails, Career Talk with a Twist, hosted by expert recruiter Renee Frey. Let's get this party started.
Hey party people, welcome to Careers and Cocktails. Today I'm thrilled to have one of my most favorite people on the show, Melissa Freiermuth. She is one hell of a gal, and I will tell you more with her intro. Melissa's expertise lies in making things happen. Her vast knowledge in client engagement, strategic planning, relationship building, project implementation, along with organizational and process development, make her an asset to those who she aligns with. Melissa has an enthusiastic heart and loves people. She's dedicated to uncovering issues, integrating solutions, inspiring, connecting, empowering, and building progressive initiatives in both her personal and professional life. She's currently a business analyst and project manager for P5 Solutions based in Reston, Virginia. She's also the founding chair of Power of 100 Hastings Women, a charitable giving initiative in Hastings, Minnesota, which I know all about, and we'll talk about that later. She's passionate about creating community, leveraging resources, and working with others to expand their contributions for the greater good. I love it. She also volunteers her time on multiple projects to help her community, including facilitating small group events that help provide conversation and resources for end-of-life decisions and grief support. She and her husband enjoy a life with a blended family of teens and adult children and look forward to family life in the future, including a new granddaughter due February 2020. You're going to be a grandma.
I know.
You're too young to be a grandma.
Keep telling me that.
All right, Melissa. What are we making today? You've got a fun story about what we're making.
So I like fun, fruity, kind of tart drinks, I guess you could say.
And you said you enjoy tequila.
Yes, and I love tequila. And I went to a bar. I don't even remember where it was, but the bartender offered a Tijuanapolitan, and I was like, ooh, all right. So it is literally a Cosmo made with tequila.
Yeah.
But that's my kind of drink. So.
Tijuanapolitan or a Tequila Cosmo. Here we go. So we're putting 1.5 ounce tequila, casaamigos, which is...
I haven't tried that one, so I'm super excited.
He's got his signature here. It's really good. So we're going to put it in a shaker. So I will do one at a time because my shaker is a little small. And I got a new measuring device, this little stainless steel gadget.
Yeah.
So it's going to be measured perfectly, unlike half the time where I measure it all wonky. All right, and then 3/4 ounce Contro.
Ooh.
3/4 ounce. Oh my God, this measuring device is so good. Yeah. This device though is making my life a lot simpler.
Yeah. There we go.
1/2 ounce fresh lime juice. I'm squeezing some lime into my cup.
I need to get you one of those little squeezy things.
I know. I don't have a handheld one. I had a different one that I brought in from home that's not like, I do need the handheld one. All right. Pour that in. And then 3/4 ounce cranberry. I think we're ready to shake.
All right. Here's the top.
Perfect. All right.
I think the cranberry is just for color.
Do you? Well, Cosmos are cranberry.
I know.
I've never had tequila, like a Tequila Cosmo.
Really?
Yeah. I've always done vodka. That's why I'm so excited about this. All right.
Super yummy.
So.
All right. There's number one.
Oh, it's so pink.
Pretty.
It is pretty. Totally looks like a Cosmo. We are straining it into the glass. And then we are going to, you garnish that while I make mine. Garnish it with a little lime.
Pretty.
So what's your favorite tequila since you like tequila?
Oh gosh, I just like to try all kinds of new ones. So I love going to fun little places where you get to try, I don't know, they'll do like tequila flights or fun little things like that.
I like that too.
I mean, there's the, Blanco standbys, I guess, that you have when you're just mixing stuff at home. But
Right. My favorite reposado is the Casa Azul.
Ooh.
It is so good. Best sipping tequila I've found.
I'm the only one in my house that likes it. So.
Oh, really?
so I don't buy
It's
a
a
whole
bummer.
lot. Time.
Yeah, I'm squeezing my lime. My drink's almost done. We have fresh squeezed lime juice.
That's perfect.
All right. Yeah,
Such a pretty color.
now I have a photo of it. I had the most expensive tequila in Seattle, and the bartender was so excited when me and my friend asked about it. Yeah, he only got 2 bottles of it.
Ooh.
But he's going to be on the podcast because he's a mixologist and does tastings and all kinds of fun stuff out in Seattle. So.
Awesome. Oops. I like to try so many new different things that sometimes I can't get just stuck on one bottle. Because
I know,
I just have
right?
to try all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh, this is so fun. All right.
Oops. You need the little
Little
garnish.
lime, and then we're going to cheers.
All right. Cheers, my friends. Woohoo. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, wow.
We might have to cheers again. I don't know.
We will
There
cheers
go.
many times. This is so good.
That is really good. Mm-hmm.
Tequila Cosmo, or what else?
Tijuanapolitan.
Tijuanapolitan. Oh my gosh. Amazing. So what can we help you celebrate this week, Melissa?
Oh my goodness. It was my son's 29th birthday on the 29th.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Fun. Golden birthday.
I know.
You know, some parts of the country don't celebrate golden birthdays.
I know. I'm kind of like a mom junkie, I think. I like celebrate them. They live across the country, and wherever they end up, I still celebrate them on their day, even if I can't be with them. So, cheers.
Cheers. I love that. So how did we meet?
So I was thinking about that as just coming here today. We met at an intentional living event. I think that was the first time we met.
Yes.
However, you had told me that night, you're like, hey, I have your card. And somebody told me I'm supposed to talk to you.
Yes.
And then we hit it off, and we've done different things together over the course of time. But I was trying to think, I think that was the first time in person that we met.
I think you're right.
So,
So pretend I'm a kindergartner. What do you do for a living?
I giggle when I say that because there's days that when I'm not sure if I know, to be honest. But, I work for a software company or customization, kind of a boutique small firm. So many of the firms have been bought out, and I work for this wonderful eclectic mix of beautiful people who customize software for ServiceNow for our clients. So they take the platform that we have and we morph it to whatever the customer needs it to do, essentially.
Awesome.
I'm sure there's a more eloquent way to put that, but I'm new to the IT world, and so it's been a real learning process for me. But I work with an amazing team, thank goodness, because they teach me every day, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. And what did you want to be when you grew up?
I when I was like in 4th grade, I think I wrote a paper on being a pediatrician.
Awesome.
And I can actually recall the picture that we had to draw to go with it.
Yeah.
And I think there was a white jacket involved or something, which is really crazy because I'm really not into that, but I am a caregiver. I do know that. So,
sure. Yeah, let's talk. That reminds me about the Power of 100 from the beginning. Yeah. So the Power of 100 is a group I'm a part of in Hudson.
Sure.
But it's 100 women who get together and they all commit to donating $100. Mm-hmm. And you go twice a year, and there's 3 nonprofits that present, and all the ladies vote real time, and then they give the money that night. And so tell me about how you learned about Power of 100 and what made you want to ignite it in Hastings.
Well, a lot of things played into it. Back about 20 some years ago, I actually was sitting in a salon reading a magazine and found an article about a woman who had something called Women Aid. And I think it still exists, but I was inspired by her story. She was an inner city doctor or something like that, had people and patients that were in need. Kind of told some of her friends about it, and they started actually getting together. And instead of going out on the town and having dinner together as women, they literally brought wine and hors d'oeuvres over to her house and threw the money they would have spent into a basket and then gave it to her to use within her clinic and for her patients. And so I remember being incredibly inspired, and I do a little visioning for myself every year, things like that. And I remember putting it on my list, and I've literally carried it on my list the entire time.
Seriously?
Yeah, just wondering when the right time would be, or, saying someday I'm going to do that. Well, fast forward all these years, and I moved to a new community, 4 years ago, where I knew no one. I left the town that I was born and raised in and raised my children in, and went to a whole new community when I fell back in love and was going to get married the second time around. And I realized that I wasn't connected. I realized I didn't know a single face in the grocery store. And so I niched in, got involved, kind of decided I was going to bloom where I was planted, right? I'm going to soak and make some roots. So got involved in different things. But the one thing I kept hearing about is just that, you can serve on different charity boards and things like that, but they're all struggling to make, to fundraise, and every sports team's fundraising. Oh my goodness, I've bought more coupon cards than I can count.
We do too. You come to my door and you're a student, we give you money.
Right. So, I started kind of hearing I wish we could connect. I wish there was more ways for women to connect that weren't affiliated with a specific group or a church, or you didn't have to have an education, you didn't have to have a status, all of that kind of stuff. And I thought, maybe now's the time. So I kind of threw the idea out to a few people, and then found out that 2 people that I had graduated from high school with were part of the ones that were happening in River Falls, Wisconsin, and in Hammond and Roberts, Wisconsin. And so I reached out to them and another friend that I knew that was on the River Falls one, and ended up just meeting with them and saying, okay, so what do you think? And they talked so highly of it. I went and visited one of their events, and I came back and just said, I have to. So I surrounded myself with 9 other amazing women to kind of be a leadership core team to get it going. And then we just went from there. And we had our first event,
which was
in October.
Wildly successful.
Yes, we raised $20,670 that night.
That's insane, because the goal is 10, but you can donate more and get other people. Yeah, cheers to that.
I know, right?
Awesome.
And our color's pink, so how perfect, right?
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yes.
So we are going on a party bus. Right? It'd be way too much fun.
Okay, I know, right?
You can invite anyone.
Okay.
Famous person. Who would you invite?
Oh, famous person.
They have to be alive, by the way.
Probably Bon Jovi. No, I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. He'd make it a party, right?
He would.
And then a bunch of women. I know the bus would be full. I know it would be full. I like to surround myself with a lot of really amazing people, and who have a lot of fun. I think of influential women. There's so many that I can't think of a specific famous person. You'd be on it. I know that.
I'm on Melissa's party bus.
Yeah, right?
Okay, well, then we're going to ask Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
He would be fun.
Yeah.
He would be fun. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I think to heal hurting hearts.
Oh, and tell us, so you worked at a funeral home. Tell us a little bit about that.
I did. I actually was doing some consulting work with a funeral home, and it was in Hastings when I moved there. And, I found that I really loved what they were all about, and the purpose behind the work that they were doing helped them actually uncover that mojo a little bit and get kind of that vibe back of what they really wanted to portray working in a business that has such a stigma, right? Their big thing was, honestly, caring for the living and honoring loved ones that pass away. And it struck me, that's what they do every day. They take care of all these beautiful living people that have just lost someone. So there's a lot of hurt involved, a lot of sadness. But when you can be that bright spot and kind of that beacon that helps someone through that situation, it's pretty cool. So through all of the consulting kind of coaching work, a partner and I were doing at the time, I was ready for a shift, and I knew I needed to just plant myself locally again, figure out this community I live in and get to know people. What better way to do that when you meet every family who has any kind of loss that comes into a community?
Right.
So I approached the owners, a husband and wife team that were just amazing, and their sister who was part of the business as well, and just said, I see this gap. We've uncovered these gaps in the business. What would you think if I came on and filled them? And they were like, sure.
That's bold. You asked for your own job.
I did. And I find that I've done that numerous times, to be honest.
So for all of our listeners, there's people probably stopped in their tracks, scared that she asked for her own job. How did you summons the courage, or? I
saw the opportunity, for one. As a consultant, I was seeing what they needed. I knew it would be fun for me. I hate to use the word play in the funeral industry, but there was a gap on the marketing side, the messaging side, community outreach. They were sick and tired of paying for the same old advertising. And I said, well, then don't. Let's look at it a different way. And so how they ended up, taking the stance of, instead of buying, say, $1,000 worth of newspaper ads, maybe we're going to invest $1,000 in our community and in people and serving others. And so they did. I was all over it. I was like, all right, I'm in. You could not pay me anything and I would do this job. But, that. We all need to make a living. So that's kind of, I asked for it and they said yes. And honestly, I can tell you it was the most fulfilling job I have probably ever had in my life.
Wow.
So I miss it, but
I'll be honest, that scares the shit out of me to be working in a funeral home. Well, because to me, it's such a delicate situation.
It is.
I wouldn't want to be the one standing there with all these people hurting around me. Like I would be crying with them.
Right.
But
I have cried alongside of some. There's been terrible heartache, and in the time that I was there, the 2 years, we've buried far too many young souls. So, that was tough. However, we aligned with amazing people and amazing resources and brought in grief resources and different people with different stories to share about resiliency and how we got through that or how they got through that. Not myself in some of those situations, but that lent to this communal effort that happened, and it changed things. We saw it change things. Some of the churches in the community put more focus on community liaison positions in their midst.
Wow.
They started doing more outreach programming, not because of us, but because it was working, and it was working for them too. So it just shows you that people are desperate for connection.
Absolutely.
And desperate for resources. I mean, we aligned with a couple incredible resources for grief support that are located even in the Twin Cities area, and some are national. And hands down, it's been amazing. And I still have my foot in that world. I actually sit as an advisor on a couple of their boards now. So
I love that.
It's something, I think once it's in your blood, you can't get it out. There was some transition that happened. And so I felt like the transition just wasn't a good fit for me personally. And, my husband was transitioning careers at the same time. And so we chose to go a different route. But,
and we need the world needs people like that. I have a niece who is so great she used to do hospice work, and I could never do that, but she is just cut out for it. And we need these people in these roles to support these individuals. So it's just incredible. So
thank you.
It warms my heart because I could never do it, Melissa.
Thanks.
I could never do it.
Thanks. And I got to do, I would say, the easy part of the job. The work that the funeral directors do is hands down some of the most amazing people I've ever met. So I think kudos to them. I can't take credit for that. Sure. It was their vision and their drive that I just got to help them make it happen. Again, make it happen, right? You said that in the bio.
Exactly. I love it. Now, Melissa, I hired her as a business coach, and she helped me early on as a young entrepreneur.
Yep.
My first year in, I hired her to help me implement EOS, which is Entrepreneurial Operating System, based on the book Traction by Gino Wickman.
Yep.
Excuse me. But Melissa was phenomenal. So I came to you, and then you helped me map out an org chart. We did company values. I mean, you could probably tell 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan.
Right.
helped me learn how to facilitate my level 10 like totally transformed my business and allowed me to have extreme focus and exceptional growth. Yeah. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure.
But you've worked with so many business owners over, when you were a business coach. What is the one thing, like a common theme you see of advice you could give to our listeners?
The one thing I would say is, well, I'm going to preface this a little. I like the really small businesses. That's I do. I like the solopreneurs, and there's not a lot of coaches and consultants who want to deal with that. There are some. Yeah. I really found I had owned a business with my former spouse, and we had owned that for 20-some years. We transitioned that in duress. It was the bad economy, and it was very difficult. All the plights and all the issues that brings. But the one thing I think I really realized is that business gets overcomplicated. And that's why I loved EOS. I wish we would have had it, 10 years prior, because I wonder what it would have done for us as a business.
How did you discover it?
We transitioned the business. Yep. I came to work for the new owners. They were wonderful. It was a husband and wife team who were very open to ideas and really championed me to come up with them, which was beautiful. So I was going on a vacation to Mexico, and I was kind of at this quandary. I kind of was feeling stuck. I was kind of feeling like the business was stuck. And we're never stuck, but we get that feeling, right? And so I reached out to a mentor and friend. His name is Cliff. He's stood by me through all the yucky stuff. And Cliff said, you really got to read this book, Traction. And I was literally flying to Mexico the next day.
Awesome.
I'm like, oh, great. How the heck am I going to find this book?
Yeah.
Reached out to another friend, Steve, who is a consultant, deals, with bigger business and had been a consultant for us. And I knew if anybody had it, Steve would have the book. Sure enough, I called him and I said, hey, I need this book before I go to Mexico. Yeah. Barnes & Noble doesn't have it. Like, whatever, I need this book. And he had like 10 copies. He's like, get over here and drive over and meet me for lunch and I'll give you a copy of the book. So I did, flew out the next day to Mexico, and I read it the entire time I was on the beach. I'm kind of a junkie for like nerdy books. Like,
me too.
I can't read Harlequin romances or whatever they are now. I forget it.
Either.
But
I'm all about business,
learning and
mindset.
Growing.
Yes,
yeah, me too. So I read this book in Mexico, and I think I flipped like every page over. And then I got a pen out and I started writing. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is completely amazing. Like, this is life-changing. And I went back probably almost threatening. I thought either I have to do this or I have to quit, right? So I meet with Wayne and Julie were their names. I sat down and I said, I need to try this. And thinking either I was going to be done or they were going to say, you are totally crazy. And they said, okay.
Awesome.
I was like, okay.
So again, another situation where you say, I want this, let's do this. And they say,
and it wasn't a threat. I think, I always laughed with Wayne, and he'll watch this podcast and giggle if we put this in there. But I always said, I won't ever fight you unless I'm really passionate about something. So if I come to you and I'm really, really passionate, at least hear me out. Yeah. So, and bless his heart and his wife Julie's, they did, and we did it, and we implemented it, and we lived it out for, gosh, it was, quite a few years before I transitioned out. It was a family business, and their kids were growing up into leadership roles, and I'm like, perfect timing, right? Awesome. So I transitioned out, but not without leaving, I think, better than we found it.
I love it. Yeah. It, like you said, it simplifies it, and business people do make it so complicated. Right. And when you really break everything down, it's super simple. Right.
And I think the one thing I noticed about coaching is you can pay coaches and you can go meet and have these wonderful ideas. But I needed you to come hold my hand in everyday business when I had to go back to the yucky stuff. I can dream for an hour in your office. That's really awesome. Yeah. But I need you to give me the tools I need to sustain this long-term day-to-day. Right. And I felt like the EOS process had that, and they were champions. I talked to Don Tinney. He was the right-hand guy there for a long time. I think he's maybe retired now. I'm not sure. But Don actually coached with me twice on the phone and had a wonderful phone call with me and said, you know what, you don't need to do the certification yet. Just implement it. Do it. Read the book, follow it exactly the way the plan goes, and see what happens. And we did. I was able to I had a position where I could focus on that and literally drive that train. And it was cool. It was beautiful. So I knew it worked because I had actually done it.
Right.
It wasn't some philosophy that, you had whatever. Somebody just told you it was great and somebody paid money for.
Exactly.
I actually lived it out.
Exactly.
So, true test, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah, that was cool.
So you have had a successful career with a lot of pivots without a college degree.
I know.
I
have a PhD, Renee. It's from the School of Hard Knocks.
Perfect. She has a PhD from the school. I totally agree. Yes. But would you have done anything different, or because there's some people, and I've worked for these corporations, that the ticket to entry is a bachelor's degree. So how have you been so successful without a degree?
Oh boy. I've been successful by the opportunities that I've had and the hard work I've put in. The pay maybe hasn't kept up in certain situations. So I think that's where maybe the college degree would have gotten you in at a certain point, maybe. However, I also know I'm not a corporate being, so I can't do corporate. I know that about myself. I need that intimacy of a team and that connection.
Yeah.
Maybe with owners or leaders. Corporate, I don't think would work for me. So though I have looked from time to time and been deterred and kind of disappointed or deflated by the fact that a degree is there, I would urge business owners that do have a choice in that is look at the candidate and look at their experience. Because what they can bring to the table and the results that they've perfected or perform what they've performed will far outweigh any college degree. I mean, I think of what I knew in my 20s and what I know now.
Right.
Oh my goodness. And you can't teach people how to deal with people. They have to just do it.
I agree.
So, do I wish I would have sometimes for about a hot second, and then I'm like kind of over it. I'm not going to lie.
Well,
At this point in my life, I don't want to do it.
I commend you. I think it's amazing that you've been able to do everything that you've done without it, because there are times where I would question the big corporations and say, okay, but they have all this experience, and yet we still have to say, unfortunately, a college degree is required. If anything changes, stay in touch, which it is heartbreaking at times. And then to think what they're thinking on the other end. Right. So
I could have a degree in philosophy, and that would get my foot in the door somewhere for IT. Like, I don't even get it. I mean, sometimes I just don't even understand. I think we've come to a society too, and I grew up, or I worked in an industry where it was, it was a labor heavy industry. And I think, gosh, I mean, we need those people too.
Oh, we do.
So we
need them now more than ever. Right. There's a huge shortage of people going into the trades.
Right. Exactly.
Huge shortage. Melissa, you are the queen of positivity, accountability, and taking action. What tips do you have for our listeners who need a pep talk?
I don't know if we want to call out Nike here, but just do it. I mean, I always laughed. Someone told me at a conference one time they said, okay, so everybody says, I try my best. And they said, okay, Renee, try to pick up your glass, right? Well, you just picked it up. You didn't try. It's not like 700 pounds, right?
Try isn't in my vocabulary. Yeah. You do or you do not.
I'm kind of there with you. I mean, granted, I have my own hang-ups, like I need to exercise more, whatever, I mean, I need to, listen to myself here, replay this podcast 100 times, like go do it. But when it comes to professional life and even some of my volunteer things and even how I handle relationships with my husband, and it's more than just try. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to give it my all from the beginning and make it happen. Again, that make it happen thing. I want things to happen. And hey, I have to pay the consequence of the things that maybe don't happen positively. But I guess my attitude is, hey, that's my choice. And so I'm going to figure that out.
Absolutely. So everyone just do it.
Yeah, just do it, right?
How about, what has been your biggest failure and how did you bounce back after it?
Gosh. I've had interesting things happen in my life, and I don't know if I consider any of them really failures. I've had things that have little setbacks.
I love that mindset.
Yeah, John Maxwell, I love his writing, and he's a great leadership guru. He has the book Failing Forward. I think that's what it's called.
Oh, I haven't read that one.
It's really great. And it always says we never fail backwards, we always fail forwards. And I think, what might have looked at a failure actually was maybe one of those pivotal life change moments.
Absolutely.
So I've had interesting happen. The reason why you say that I look young when I said I had a 29-year-old son is because I had him when I was 17.
Oh.
So, but he is my best accomplishment. I mean, him and my daughter. So I would never look at that as a failure. It's this beautiful life who's going to soon be a father himself. So that is amazing to me. I just sit in awe of that.
That's why you're so young to be a grandma.
I know, Dan.
I'm
going to be the cool one.
Right.
Oh, don't tell that to the other grandmas that are going to watch this podcast. No, so it's things like that. But, I think my dad said to me when we found out, he said, honey, I'll tell you right now, you can be a victim or a survivor, but whatever you choose right now is going to determine the outcome forever.
Holy buckets.
I know. My dad is kind of a man of few words. Yeah.
Whew.
He's kind of a big jokester and always plays with humor. And that was kind of a levity moment for me going, wow, okay. And he was absolutely right.
Right.
So I think that stuck with me through all that time. I mean, is it the easiest way to start? No, but it is the most fulfilling job I've ever had in the world, being Evan's mom and Simone's mom. So it's beautiful, and it was meant to be. So
absolutely. Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Young grandma.
I know. Sweet.
So speaking of John Maxwell, we participated in a mastermind, well, almost like a book club, really. We read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Yeah. And I know your goal was to exceed 6 figures, and you made that happen.
I did.
What do you credit? What was it that got you there? And was it the book that helped and the class?
Well, yeah, it was. I was thinking, the other day, someone called me, a young guy looking to make a career change and exploring career options because he's looking at something completely different, and he wanted to know a little bit about what I was doing now and how I had shifted and whatever. And I talked about our class, and I said there was something in the book where you kind of take a step backwards to get your foot in the door.
Yep.
And look where that can catapult you.
Yep.
And I've actually done that a few times in my life. Again, if you want it bad enough, you're going to go figure out how to get it. If it means you sweep the floor for a while, that might be it. Or
absolutely.
If you take a different position in the company to show them what you've got and move up. I think that's huge. So I would say that was one of the things I learned in there. I loved that book. I know. I loved that book. Good. Maybe because of the stories in it too, like
so many stories. That's what I was going to say. Is that was one of the stories about the gentleman taking the step back. Yeah, there were so many applicable stories.
Yeah, wasn't it the Barnes wanted to work for Edison or something like that?
Yeah, didn't he talk about the Carnegie? I mean, there's some.
Yeah,
he studied all the.
He did all
pioneers,
the greats back then. Mm-hmm. So I found myself. I've done that a few times, and it has been very fulfilling and paid off. And
I love that.
It took me a little longer than when I first had the intention set, or what did we call that? The chief aim, right? When we wrote our chief aim. Yep. It's taken a bit longer, but all for good reason too, because I think there were things I needed to learn prior to getting to that point.
Sure.
And some things I needed to clean up in my life. I had been through, a marriage dissolving and a business kind of transitioning, and there were some things that needed to get tidied up in that. And I think that was all done, and then the opportunity presented itself.
I love it.
I think it's kind of what you if you keep putting that out there, you're going to get it back.
Absolutely.
Not always in our time. That's the big thing.
Right. So if you were able to sit down with your 20-year-old self, Melissa, what would you say?
Oh boy. Keep going. Keep loving. Be persistent, be resilient. I don't know if I'd have a lot of advice because I think at 20, you're just discovering who you are.
I know, right?
I have, 2 kids now approaching the end of their 20s, 26, almost 26 and 29 now. And I've watched their being evolve But I would also say explore, dabble, play, create, all of those things. So
I know. I wish I would have heard that advice, because I went to college, had to work full time to go to college. I mean, there was no fun exploring, playing. I was putting myself through school, burning both ends, trying to get great grades. It was brutal.
Right. And I think they both did that. Maybe they're playing a little more now that they're out of it in careers. However, I've watched, not so much my son. He's been in the same position and he's moved up, but my daughter has been able to really kind of explore parts of what she went to school for and has morphed, and it's taken a little bit, but now she's kind of found her sweet spot.
Oh, I love that.
At least for now, but It's been beautiful to watch the transition. It hasn't been easy, but she's doing the hard work, and she's in an industry, she's in social work, kind of inner city situations. It's difficult. It breaks your heart a lot. And she's also learned a lot about herself, of what she is capable of and what she needs to limit in her life as well. Mm-hmm. What's healthy for her. So I think that's really important to realize your limitations, or seek to learn more and grow through those things.
Absolutely.
So, and seek help if you're not sure.
Right.
Consult wise counsel, whether that is a therapist or mentors or who that is. Use people. They want to help you.
Absolutely.
People want to mentor you.
Absolutely. And if you're going through it, someone else has gone through it in the past.
Right.
Melissa, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Dear friend Cliff and another gentleman that were kind of angels through a really dark time when our business transitioned. He said, just whatever you do, don't settle. He said, just don't settle. And he said a lot of profound things and wonderful, but that's the one thing I remember. And he was right. Don't settle. If you're going to get something out of that, whatever that is, whether it's a relationship or a job opportunity, mm-hmm. or a volunteer opportunity for that matter, just don't settle. I mean, make sure that you can be yourself. And it was good. The other thing I think wisest advice I got is, I had been through some dark things with money. And Jean, she was another wonderful mentor during a lot of times for me in my life. She was from my church. She was wonderful. And I remember having breakfast at a Perkins with her. And she said, I said, you know what? I hate money. I just hate money. It's like evil. I did.
Melissa.
I know, I said that. And she kind of did that. She grabbed me by the arm and she's like, you don't hate money. Money is going to be the vessel that allows you to do a lot of good. So figure it out. In so many words is what she said. And that has always stuck with me, going, I need to figure out money then. I need to figure out a better way, because, hey, I was rebuilding. I lost everything by 40. So we were starting over.
Oh my gosh.
In many ways.
My heart.
Yeah, it has not been easy. However, it's turning. And, I'm in a relationship that is supporting that recovery of learning and growing and saving and things like that. And, and also a champion for what I want to do and where I want to be. So that's beautiful. My husband's a gem, but I think about that and go, wow, has my mindset changed?
Yes.
And then I don't know if you ever read it or not, but The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist.
I have read it.
And I learned through that book that, there's wonderful lessons all through it, but one of the main things is money is an inanimate object.
Yes.
You're the one giving it power.
I know. Isn't it crazy? Because I'm the opposite of you. I love money.
I know
the
you
more
do.
of it, the better.
That's why I hang out with you, Renee.
But it's true. It's a piece of paper.
Yeah. But
and
you
people tie all these
different.
emotions to it. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And how we're raised and our parents' beliefs of money get trickled down to us until we take a step back and we're like, time out.
Right.
This is what I think about it. And I've read so many books about money.
Well, and when you do that work on yourself and still be wise and make good decisions and be planful, right?
Yes.
It changes your whole thought process.
Absolutely.
And decisions you make. And she was absolutely right. Jean was absolutely right. It does empower you to do good with that. So that, huge lesson for me.
I love
huge,
that.
Huge.
So Melissa, where can everyone find you?
Oh my goodness. I don't have a website anymore. I'm on Facebook, I guess. You can find me there. But
Are you on LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. I use it all the time. I actually post for my job now on LinkedIn, but
Okay, you might need to spell your last name because
so
Melissa.
It's Freiermuth. It's Freiermuth.
Awesome.
So yes, I guess it's German.
And well, so is Frey.
Yeah. Right? There we go.
But anyway, I was married into it.
Yes, me too.
Thank you so much.
Yes. My pleasure.
I'm so grateful to have you. Cheers.
Cheers.
For all of you hiring leaders who want to find the secrets to finding the best talent, please go to careersandcocktails.com and download your free strategy guide. For all of you job seekers who hate your Mondays, go to the same website to learn where to purchase my book, I Hate Mondays. If you have liked this video, please click the bell, subscribe, like, share it with everyone you know so you don't miss an update. Cheers!